Today, I have a true story that will shock you. It's about a husband, 70 years old, who got caught cheating. You might be thinking, no way. Isn't that something that happens when you're younger? Well, this story proves that love, betrayal, and trust can break down at any age. Let's get into it. This story comes from a woman named Carol. She's 70 years old and has been married to her husband, Jim, for 45 years. Now, Carol and Jim's relationship wasn't perfect. Like most long-term marriages, they had their ups and downs. But they had built a life together. They raised kids, dealt with losses, and faced the challenges that life throws at you. After all these years, they had a routine. Jim worked, Carol stayed home. They didn't argue much, but they also didn't have the kind of connection they once did in their younger years. Things were calm, predictable. At least, that's what Carol thought. Over the years, Carol started noticing little things. Jim wasn't as present as he used to be. He'd spend more time out of the house, even when there was no reason to. He became more distant. Sometimes, when Carol would try to talk to him, he'd make excuses, saying he was tired or had work to catch up on. But Carol, being the loving wife that she was, tried not to think too much of it. After all, they were getting older, and maybe Jim was just going through a phase. But then, one day, everything changed. Carol came home early from a trip to visit her sister. She didn't expect to find anything out of the ordinary. But when she walked into their bedroom, she found something that made her heart drop. There, on their bed, was a gift receipt for a piece of jewelry. Now, you might think, okay, that's not so bad, right? But the problem was, Carol hadn't received any jewelry from Jim in years. And this wasn't the kind of gift she would have gotten. This was something more personal, something that clearly wasn't for her. Carol immediately felt that sinking feeling. She knew something wasn't right. She tried to ignore it, but curiosity took over. She decided to confront Jim. And that's when the truth came out. Carol sat Jim down and showed him the receipt. At first, Jim denied everything. He tried to cover it up, saying it was for a friend. But Carol wasn't buying it. She knew this wasn't just any friend. It was something more. After a lot of back and forth, Jim finally admitted the truth. For the past year, he had been seeing another woman. A woman he met at his weekly tennis club. Carol was devastated. She had been with Jim for nearly 5 decades, and now he was telling her that he had been unfaithful for the past year. At 70 years old, Jim was having an affair, and the woman wasn't much younger than Carol herself. Jim said he didn't plan for it to happen. He said that he just fell in love and that it was something he couldn't control. Now, you might be thinking, how could this happen after 45 years? You might wonder if age and time would make people more committed to each other, but as Carol found out, sometimes things change. People change. And Carol wasn't ready to let this betrayal slide. She was hurt, confused, and unsure of what to do next. After the conversation with Jim, Carol spent weeks in emotional turmoil. She didn't know whether to stay or leave. She loved Jim. They had built a life together, and their children were grown up. She didn't want to throw it all away. But at the same time, she couldn't ignore the hurt, the anger, and the feeling of betrayal. She felt as though she had lost not only her husband, but also her sense of trust in him. Here's the thing about betrayal: no matter what age you are, it cuts deep. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 40, or 70. When someone you love, someone you've been with for decades, betrays you, it makes you question everything. Carol faced this challenge head-on. She decided to take some time for herself, to heal, and to think about what she truly wanted moving forward. After months of reflection, Carol made the decision to confront Jim one last time. She told him that if he truly wanted to repair their relationship, he would need to make some major changes. He would need to be open, honest, and prove to her that she was his priority. If he couldn't do that, then their marriage would be over. Jim, surprisingly, agreed to work on their marriage. He apologized deeply and admitted that he had taken Carol for granted. He promised to be more present, to rebuild the trust, and to prove that she was the most important person in his life. For Carol, this wasn't an easy decision. She knew things could never go back to the way they were. But she also knew that she deserved better than what she had been getting. She decided to give Jim a chance to make it right. Today, Carol and Jim are still together. Their relationship has changed, but it has grown stronger in some ways. They've learned to communicate more openly, and while things are different, they are committed to making it work. So, what can we learn from Carol and Jim's story? Age doesn't make us immune to betrayal. Relationships, no matter how long, can still face challenges. But with honesty, communication, and a willingness to change, even the hardest situations can be healed. It's never too late to make changes in your relationship, and it's never too late to prioritize your happiness and well-being. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found Carol's story insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you've experienced something similar or have any thoughts, feel free to share in the comments below. Remember, no matter your age, your happiness and trust are always worth fighting for.